Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Show with me, Imo Folami. This is the Neurodivergent Show where we discuss all things ADHD, autism spectrum, OCD, dyslexia, and all. On today's show, we're going to be discussing something that many people face, but really we do not talk about it enough. We do not talk about it a lot. And that is the effect ADHD, autism, dyslexia, OCD has on marriages. The truth is, the struggle is real. The struggle is real, and you may not get it if you do not have a neurodivergent kid, or if you are not married to a neurodivergent person. But today we're going to be learning from each other. Today I'm not alone. I have someone who's very dear to me, and we're going to be doing the show together. Let me have him introduce himself. Hey, boom.
Hey everybody, my name is Tolu and I'm glad to be here today.
Welcome to the Neurodivergent Show. It's always good to have you. And all our viewers and listeners, we want to say thank you to you for choosing to spend this evening, this time with us. And of course, it's a live session, so we want to keep the interaction going. Let us know how we're doing right now, okay? Are you getting good feedback? Up no echo, up nothing. We're trusting that we're going to have a smooth show. And if you're on, please go ahead and give us a like button. Hit the like button. Okay, it's the like button, right? Don't say I'll do it later. No, let's do it now. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Leave comments, okay? We want to hear from you. Would like to know that we are not here by ourselves. Would like to know that we're doing this together because that's what this show is all about. A safe place where we get to learn together, where we get to grow together, and where we get to share stuff together. I have somebody reached out with this text. Let me put it on the screen real quick. Okay. So the text says this. My husband packed his things and left the kids and I last December. In his words, I have gone crazy. This is this is all because I keep researching ways to help our recently diagnosed 4-year-old autistic son. My husband has refused to accept our son's autism diagnosis. He says it's all part of the plot to diagnose all black kids in America, and his son will not be a statistics. I honestly do not know how we got here. Things were not like this some 2, 3 years ago, and now my family is drifting apart. What can I do, please? And you know what? This is not just this I found out is not just one couple or just two. Over the years, some of our friends that are raising neurodivergent kids also have shared similar experience about what's going on in their home and how it's intense, you know, because raising a kid on its own is a lot of work. It's challenging. Now when you add raising a neurodivergent kid, that's that's another world in itself. That's and people may not get it if you're not raising a neurodivergent kid, you may not understand this. But it's difficult, very difficult actually, because you're dealing with kids that probably cannot sleep for more than 45 minutes, and that's the truth. Many kids that are autistic, especially when being, even some of them that are older now, cannot sleep for long. Many of them would have sleep problems. They'd sleep like for only an hour or two and then have to be up, and the parents have to be up with them. Many autistic kids, ADHD kids would have feeding problem. They would have problems with constipation every time. So some of them would even have things like G buttons. They would have feeding tubes just so as to help them eat. You have some kids that are extra restless, cannot sit in one place. You have kids that are having meltdowns, like severe meltdowns, and parents don't know what to do with that. When I'm talking about meltdowns, this is not tantrums. This is a kid literally beating his head on the wall just because of certain things going on in his brain. We have kids that are not speaking, They cannot communicate their needs. They cannot say what they want. They cannot say what's hurting them. They cannot say when it's hurting them. We have all these things going on, and you have the added stress of a parent having to go to work, having to provide for the kid, having to provide for the family. And you know what that, or you know what eventually suffers for it? The marriage. And that's why we want to discuss today the effect of raising a neurodivergent kid, the effect ADHD, autism would have on a neurodivergent kid. I'm waiting for my guest. I think he had to quickly run to do a few things. But what we're going to do is we're going to start by discussing some facts. Okay, what we do on the Neurodivergent show is we lay down the facts and we state it the way it is, and we'll pick it up from there. We'll learn, we'll share, we grow together. Are you here with us live? I'd like to hear from you. Please go ahead and say hi to us if you're here. Please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Just say hello to us, wave at us. Would appreciate that. Anything we get from you. And if you have stories, if you have experience with things like this, would like to hear from you as well. Okay, so fact number one. Let's see. Okay, this is not opening for me. But one of the things we've realized with raising neurodivergent kids is it affects the family dynamics. When you have a neurodivergent kid, your life changes. Like, this is not like, oh, your life changes somehow. Your life completely changes. Your life changes. Your partner's life changes. If you have siblings, their life is about to change. If you have extended family members that you're close to, their lives are about to change. Everything changes when you're raising a neurodivergent kid. Okay, we're getting feedback right now. That is something going on with our guests, Ecam. We're trying to connect our guest. That's my husband, and we lost him for a little bit. Let's see if we can get him right back. Okay, now we have him. Hi, babe. Hi. Can you hear us? Can you see us, sir? Are you there? Can you hear us, babe? He's still trying to sort out through. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you. Can you
Oh,
hear me?
it's better now. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fact number one. Marriages of parents with neurodivergent kids are stressed than those with neurotypical kids, and that's the truth. If you think, if you have a kid right now and the kid is neurotypical and everything, I mean, you don't have a perfect kid. But when you have a neurodivergent kid, you're about to find out what life can be and how stressed life can be or how stressful it can be. Babe, can you speak to some of the things that you've seen, we've experienced as parents of neurodivergent kids ourselves, and some of the things we've seen along the way that has been extra stressful? For me, I would say my kids not speaking early was very stressful for me because I didn't know what they want. And I'm asking them, what do you want? What do you need? And they are there, they are frustrated because they're trying to communicate 3 years old, and but they're not able to. And so I'm like, do you want this? Do you want that? And they're shaking like, so what do you want? I take them there. They cannot verbalize, some of these things. Babe, can you speak to some of these things or a certain thing that may make um just raising a neurodivergent kid may make life a little bit more stressful?
So first of all, the first thing about the stressful part was when we didn't know what the thing was. When at the initial stage, we didn't understand neurodivergence. We didn't even have any type of you know clue of what was going on with the kids. So at that point in time, there was that frustration where you see your kids, they are different from other kids out there, and you're trying to treat them the same way you've seen other kids out there behave. And you're trying to give them some commands. You're trying to tell them what to do. You're trying to talk to them, And I can remember one thing, we're like, use your words, use your words, use your words. And it becomes frustrating because we didn't know exactly, and at a point in time it's like they are doing that intentionally. So that was a little bit frustrating at the initial stage, when we didn't know exactly what was going on. Um, we didn't know what neurodivergence was, nothing like that. So at that initial stage, for sure, that was frustrating, especially they were not eating. I remember that time. My wife will cook. You will cook. You make the food for them and everything. You've made the best meal ever, and the kids would just say yuck.
Yuck.
And
You know what they do? You know what they do,
yuck.
Dave? They let you cook it. They don't say yuck from the beginning. So they let you cook it and they let you do everything. They are looking at you and they're sitting on the table. It's like they're just like they've already know what they are going to do. And so they let you do everything. You put the food in front of them and they like tease you like they are probably going to try it. And they look at it and they look at you and they're like, yuck. And, many people may be quick to think, oh, it's because you're not training them right and stuff. I'm telling you, our twins will starve. And we've tried it with them before. Like, we're like, if you won't eat this, you won't eat anything. And they will starve. Because for many neurodivergent kids, they go with texture. If something is not speaking right to their brain, you know, they will starve. They will not eat. And this is not just like, them not being properly trained. This is their brain. This is how they are wired. And if you don't believe us, you can ask many parents raising neurodivergent kids and ask them, what methods haven't you tried to get your kid to it? Because you know what happens is people it's so quick to judge parents for not doing something, especially when they are raising the first kid that is a neurodivergent kid. But when there's a sibling now and the sibling is eating, the sibling is talking, the sibling is doing all these things, then you realize it's not entirely the patient, it's not even the parent's fault. Kids that are neurodivergent are wired differently. Not to say that there is anything wrong with them, because there is nothing wrong with them. They are just different. But it plays an extra stress on parents just because of these different needs. Like no one teaches you how to raise a neurodivergent kid. No one teaches you how to raise an autistic ADHD kid. We just get into this world, we see them, we have them, and we're expected to just roll with it. So fact number one, marriages of parents with neurodivergent kids are stressed than those with neurotypical kids. Not to take away from people raising neurotypical kids. I know your life is stressful, it's very hard. So raising a kid generally is hard. But I'm telling you, you almost cannot begin to imagine what goes on in the homes of those raising neurodivergent kids. Fact number two, I was speaking to this earlier. An ADHD autism diagnosis would change the dynamics of any family. And if you heard me earlier, I said it's going to change everything. Everybody's life is about to change. Everybody's life, because it's possible that everybody will not sleep. It's possible that everybody would have to start following a particular routine just so that they can accommodate the need of whether an autistic or an ADHD or dyslexic kid. It's so everybody will be impacted in one way or the other. And the thing is that many times we're not prepared for this. And that is what causes strife, right? Because, the whole idea is we're going to have a kid, typical, we were raised like that. So we have like a little inclination or understanding about, kids' needs and all. But when you have this kid that is looking so strange and the needs are so strange and you don't even know what to do, and everyone is frustrated, you're frustrated, your husband is frustrated, your kids, your other kids that are possibly not neurodivergent and don't understand, that are frustrated, it eats into the marriage. And autism, ADHD diagnosis will change the dynamics of any family. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I remember the earlier stage, when we had our boys, and that time I was working, I believe, 1 to like 11 p.m., and the distance between work and home was like another 1 hour drive. So by the time I get home, it's like 12 o'clock, and you would have been stressed all day taking care of the kids. But again, we didn't know exactly what we were working with, what we were, what the situation was. We didn't know the kids were neurodivergent, but what we just know that they were not eating. They were fussy, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to sleep. And but I would get back from work, I'm tired, and I'm trying to sleep. But at that point in time, you two, you're trying to get some sleep, and you're trying to like, okay, I should help out, and I'm like, I'm tired, I just want to go to bed. And you know, as time goes on, that's where those stresses comes from. Where again, at that point in time, you're stressed, going to work all day. The mother of the house is stressed, taking care of the kids. And at that point in time, there's a clash where, again, you just feel at that point in time that, okay, why are the kids not sleeping? What are you doing wrong? What are you not doing right? So, you know, those are part of those things that, that your life now begins to change, where you have to like, now, like, okay, I have to balance work with having to take care of two kids that they won't sleep. And you know and at that point in time, the sleep pattern wobbles. I definitely remember, um we the our night was the morning, and the morning was the night for us, where for 5 a.m. we were still awake, and by the time we are going to bed, it's like 6 in the morning, and we wake up in the afternoon. I have to go to work, but the kids sleep still like around 5, 6 in the evening, and they wake up at that time. So it was like a whole different thing for us, where morning became night and night became morning for us. So, that dynamics change. That at the end of the day, it takes a toll, on the marriage. It takes a toll on every, because again, you don't know what you're dealing with. So that is the killing part of it, which is, again, no diagnosis. Nobody could tell us what we were going through. you know it, it was, external factor to which I believe we'll get to that.
Yeah.
They are telling you something different, that that you're now beginning to think that, okay, is it what I ate, or this and that? But yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. This is the Neurodivergent Show. I'm Emo. And we also have T here. We're discussing the effect ADHD and autism, being neurodivergent, all raising neurodivergent kids would have on the family. If you're just joining us, welcome. Please go ahead and leave us a comment. Say hi to us. If you have experiences with things like this in your home, in your marriage, if you're raising neurodivergent kids, or you know someone who's raising neurodivergent kids, and you'd like to share with us, would like to hear from you. Otherwise, you can just say hi to us. Let us know how we're doing. Are we speaking to you? Are there certain questions you have? Would like to hear from you. And go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so to our channel. Hit the like button. It helps us. It helps this channel grow. Thank you so much. We would like to state here, my husband and I, that we are in no means marriage experts. We are not therapists. We are by no means telling you what to do or how to live your life. We're just sharing our own experience with you, and we've also made certain research, personal ones, our friends online, spoken to loads of people, and these are the things that they have shared with us. And we said, oh, why not let's do this together? And so that's what this show is about: learning together, growing together. And now we're discussing facts, facts. We've mentioned things like, raising ADHD, autistic kids would change the dynamics of the family. It's going to change y'all's life. Just get ready for that. Many times we're not ready for that. We've also mentioned earlier that marriages of parents with neurodivergent kids are even extra stressed than those with neurotypical kids. We're going to go on to fact number 3 now. And fact number 3 is an autism diagnosis will test the family. It will. It will test the strength of the family. Raising a neurodivergent kid or kids will test your family like nothing else. Like it will, oh my goodness, like it will test the bond between you and your husband. And in a little bit, we're going to share tips, on how to enjoy your marriage and stuff. But one of the things we've realized, over the course of doing this and listening and making research about neurodivergence and stuff is, you see, what happens is some people or some marriages are built on shaky legs, and by no means are we judging anybody or trying to that's not what we're doing. We're just stating things. We're just being real. Some marriages are actually shaky from the get, and if you have marriages that are built on like superficial things, money, looks, stuff like that, eventually when you have a neurodivergent kid, oh my God, you will be put to the test. You are going to know if you really truly love your husband, because there are certain things that will happen that will make you question everything. It will make you question the marriage in the first place. It will make you question your love for each other. It will make you question, it will just make you question everything. And sometimes you may even get to a point where you say, are you do you love me? Like, do you love me? Because if you love me, you won't treat me this way. If you love me, you will get home early to stay with me and the family. If you love me, you will make sure that both of us are making researches together and I won't feel so alone or so isolated. Autism, ADHD diagnosis, raising a neurodivergent kid would test your bond. It would test the strength of that marriage. And many times or sometimes what would happen is we've realized that it can either make the family stronger or tear the family apart. It's going to be one of the other. It's not because if you're in the middle, you're just going to dance around in the middle until you guys decide, like, okay, you know what? We want to break up or we want to continue together. But raising a neurodivergent kid will test your marriage, babe.
So the thing about it is the fact that even before we even get to the part of raising a neurodivergent kid, raising any kid, typical neurodivergent or just neurotypical kids, it's challenging by itself because we've seen even statistics and a lot of research that says marriages after kids can even lead to divorce by itself, and whether they're neurotypical or neurodivergent. So now having neurodivergent kids, that's the cherry on the top for any marriage, and that marriage will be tested, especially once you get the diagnosis, because what happens in most cases is, based on again research and statistics, is that not both parents accept those diagnoses.
Mm.
Not both parents. It has been seen that once you get that diagnosis, one parent runs with it while the other parent goes into denial right away. And that's where things begin to happen in the marriage, where now the marriage now gets tested, because it will now be one parent with a kid, or with the kids diagnosed with neurodivergence, now goes into that bubble where that one parent begins to do research. They bury themselves in trying to get a solution, while the other parent is outside that bubble in denial and just looking in that, what are you doing? And at that point in time, it now becomes like, okay, I care, you don't care. It's now become, you're leaving me by myself to do all this, to carry this burden by myself. Why you don't care? That's when it comes to, you don't love me as much as I love you. It's now become, I love this kid more than you love this kid.
Mm.
So that's where that starts from. As soon as, so it's been seen, and we're talking about 80% now in statistics has shown that once that diagnosis is, you receive that diagnosis, a crack happens right away in the marriage.
Absolutely, very well said. And we're going to get into all that. How what happens usually when the autism diagnosis, or when when it's so certain, when it's so glaring that a kid is autistic, ADHD, as ADHD, and what then happens from there. Tolu is saying hi to us. Tolu says, okay, let's take this one out. She says, thank you for sharing all this. They are so enlightening and insightful. Thank you so much, Tolu. If you're joining us, this is the Neurodivergent Show. Would like for you to say hi to us. Would like for you to leave a comment. Would like for you to subscribe if you haven't done so already. But in the meantime, let's get this conversation going. Leave us a comment, share your experience with us. Even if you do not have a neurodivergent kid, would like to hear from you. You know, some of the challenges you've had to face just being a parent, and just raising kids generally, because it's a tough job. It is. And, usually we do not get a manual as to how to do it. We just get in there and we decide we're supposed to roll with it. Thank you, Tolu Aladesu. We appreciate you. And we appreciate everyone listening and watching us right now. We're going to quickly take fact number 4, and then we'll go to what transpires usually when an autism, when there is an autism or ADHD diagnosis. Um, Fact number 4: raising autistic ADHD kids will impact the family emotionally, socially, spiritually, financially. Now, the truth is, this thing is going to impact you guys. It will impact you guys. There is no running away from it. Now, it may do that positively, it may do that negatively, but raising a kid that is different with a different need will impact the family. And many people are not prepared for this because you're going to spend more. In fact, you're going to spend more and it will seem wasteful because you're going to
Yep.
try so many things and they will fail many times because you feel like you're researching, they say, oh, this is what will work for your kid is autistic, this, and so you try that thing. But you're going to realize very soon that that thing may not really work for your kid, right? So because it's a spectrum, and then people will have different things that may or may not work for your kid. So you try a particular thing, it fails, the money's gone, the time spent, everything is gone with that. And so it just keeps going on and going on like that. You're emotionally drained, financially drained. You cannot go out with your friends. Why? Because your kids may have meltdowns, because people don't understand your kids, because people are quick to judge you. So you possibly that like going out a lot. Now you cannot do that because you don't want to be judged. So raising a neurodivergent kid will impact your family, and that's not what many people are ready for. If he Abia, if your ma is giving us a thumbs up, thank you so much. Thank you, Ify. We appreciate you. If you're joining us, give us a thumbs up as well. Leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. If you have experience, just raising a kid or raising a neurodivergent kid, would like to hear from you some of the challenges you faced and how you were able to overcome them, or what you're doing now to work on them to make life better for you and your family. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty now, and that is how ADHD, autism, and when we say ADHD and autism, please know that we're not just talking about those two terms alone. We're talking about neurodivergence in general, but we're just trying to streamline them to ADHD and autism. So if you have a kid presenting any other thing that is not ADHD and autism, you are also in this category of neurodivergence, okay? How autism ADHD diagnosis often impacts marriages. So what we've realized over our research, my husband and I, we've done tons of research, on this subject matter. We've realized that once parents start understanding that, hey, my kid is different, what happens is mom almost always becomes the caregiver and dad becomes the provider. And you spoke to this earlier, babe. You said you said it when you say, as soon as people start realizing, oh, this is different, everybody runs into survival mode. What can we do? What can we do from here? Where can we go from here? And so it's like, okay, people start picking side. Mom becomes, okay, I need to research. I need to understand what's going on. I need to know more about this. I need to study more. And dad is like, oh, I don't understand what's going on, but hey, let me do something. So that goes out there. Sometimes mommy may even quit a job. She may cut back on her job. I've seen so many people do that. And dad is like, okay, now let me take on the responsibility. But what we're doing is we're going into survival mode, trying to figure out each other role in this. But then, like we said, what we don't know is it then takes a toll on the family. It takes a toll on the marriage, because now the things we're supposed to have been doing together, everybody's doing it, or different people are doing it. And then people start feeling isolated. So like you said, the bubble. So mom is now like, it's me and the kid. Dad is like, oh, I'm the one providing for the family. So can you see that divide? Babe, can you speak to that? I mean, we've had this over and over again where mom just becomes so, I wouldn't use the word obsessed so it doesn't seem bad. Mom just becomes so trust in trying to find a solution, in trying to understand everything. She's researching, she's on YouTube, she's on Facebook group, she's on everything, she's learning things, diet, potty training, everything, and she's taking it all in. And dad is like working. And when dad comes and mom is like, oh, let me share this with you, dad is like, I'm too tired. I've gone out to work for all of us, and then it just goes on and on and on like that, babe.
So basically, there's nothing like the mother's love. So even away from neurotypical or neurodivergence right now, mother's love. So nothing can replace mother's love. Even a father cannot replace that mother's love, that bond between a mother and a child from birth. So now, when a diagnosis now comes in, now you're on an unknown territory as a mother, where you see that kid as helpless just because it's not that you're doing that intentionally, but
Mm,
it's that survivor mode where you see your kid as helpless and you go into that superhero mode. So that superhero mode is that's the way you go into, where you're now trying everything, your research, everything to protect that child. And unknowingly, you begin to protect the child from everybody, including your spouse, including your family, including your mother,
wow.
your father, grandparents, uncles, aunties. You begin to protect that child, even from outsiders, from neighbors. You begin to protect the child, where and at that point in time, socially, that goes away. Your social life goes away. Once you get that diagnosis and you go into that superhero mode, your social life goes away. Now it's now you and the kid. And again, it depends on what type of diagnosis have you received, because again, there are different types of diagnosis. There are aggressive diagnosis, where your kid is aggressively, neurodivergent,
Mm,
where again, you can't take the kid out. It's not that you can't take the kid out, but again, I would love people to go back and watch the show. We talked about stigma, we talked about shame, we talked about so many things. We've talked about that. As a mother, that shame now comes, where again, you don't want people to think about you any less than you are. You don't want people to look at your kid and judge you and judge the kid. So to prevent that, you lock yourself inside of the house. And socially, the world is now going by while you're in that bubble with the kid.
yeah.
Now it turns to resentment, where your husband becomes the provider in the house. He leaves the house to go to work, but you as a mom, you're not seeing that as he has gone outside to work, rather than you're seeing him as he's having a social life, and I'm not. I'm stuck with this kid while you are having a social life out there going to work. It becomes a resentment now, where anytime the husband comes in, you take out the frustration on your spouse, because you feel that you are all by yourself. And the man is tired from work, maybe he has pulled a 12-hour shift, but you are trying to tell him about some research you've done, and it just innocently tells you, babe, I'm tired. I just needed 5 minutes. And you flare out and you just be like, you don't care, you don't care. And, just because of that piled in resentment, because you feel that the world out there is moving forward and you are stuck in that bubble.
Well said.
So,
Well said. And you know what? It actually goes both ways, because I'm going to speak
yeah.
from the perspective of a mother. That's a man, that's a man's thinking, and which is absolutely, that's the way it is, because that's what's appearing to you and that's the fact. But what a woman is saying is, I'm all in this by myself. You don't even ask, you don't even call to check on what I've learned today. Even when I'm sharing with you, you are just so like you are so you don't you know you're not following, you're so passive. And so all that's built. And so the man also is a little bit resentful, because it's like, you're not appreciative of what I've done. She is resentful because she's like, I'm in this by myself. And what suffers for it? The marriage. The
And
marriage.
one thing is that the sex goes out of the door. So just know that
Men and
sex goes
sex,
out
yeah,
of the
five
door.
and six. Okay.
So, and that's where again
Yeah.
higher frustration comes in,
It,
especially when the man is trying to get close to the wife, but the wife is already stressed and tired and resentful already. And yeah,
okay. So we're going to run through some of the things we have here real quick so that we can be done in a little bit. And we're also going to throw the phone line open. Would like to hear from you if you have a neurodivergent um if you have a neurodivergent kid, if you're raising a neurodivergent kid, would like to hear from you. Would also like to hear from you if you are in a relationship with somebody that is neurodivergent, or you know somebody in a relationship with a neurodivergent person, because it also cuts across. While we're talking more on raising neurodivergent kids, we also would like to explore, those that actually live with neurodivergent ones, how they are coping, how their lives are. Let's run through a few comments now. Niketolu says, as a parent, you will get an outpouring of advices, whether you like it or not. We are focused on what works for our family, silence every other noise, and really let God speak to your heart. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nike, for that. That is key. That is key. It has to work for you. It has to work for your kid. It has to work for your family. Moaino says communication is key. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining our live show. Please go ahead and give us, just hit the like button real quick, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. And also, please leave some comments. We would like to take your comments. This is an interactive section. Would like to hear from you. Would like to learn from you. We're growing together and we're learning together. Now, let's run through a few facts more quickly, and then we'll just throw open the phone line so we can discuss further. So we also spoke, we touched on this earlier. We said increased stress level for both parents. We've already discussed that because everyone is tired, everyone is upset, everyone is mad many times. Now, please let me go back and say this is not what happens in every home. We're just
yes,
saying in many homes, especially homes that, are on the brink of divorce, some of the things we've noticed, some of the things we've heard, some of the things we've learned and we've researched. So in case it's not happening in your home and everything is all lovey and jolly, that's great. Would actually like to hear from you. Let us know what you've done to make it work, because that's not the case for many people that are raising neurodivergent kids. But it is not also to say that everything is bad, everything is sad. No, it's not. It's not. Marriages are blooming, marriages of those who have a neurodivergent kid. Now, the third one is one parent may begin to feel isolated, neglected. Dad is doing his own thing. Mom is doing her own thing. She feels like nobody gets her. Nobody understands the child like she does. Nobody is willing to understand the child. And when she tries to communicate with them, she gets a lot of judgment. Oh, don't worry, the kid is fine. Or, you're not disciplining the kid enough. She just gets all this. Nobody's trying to understand neurodiversity. Nobody's trying to understand, what's going on, and how to help the kid. Everybody's just so quick to shut her down. Dad feels like, oh, mom is being dramatic. Sometimes some fathers be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with my kid. It's just all in your head. It's just all a face. It's going to pass. And, or it could be the mom doing the other thing and the dad doing the other thing. It just, and then you have a lot of frustration going on. So one parent will feel isolated, sometimes will feel isolated, neglected. And then the third one, real quick, or the fourth one, I beg your pardon, parents may begin to resent each other for not caring enough. Absolutely. Parents may begin to resent each other for not caring enough. That feel, or, whatever the case may be. And it could be that mom will also be the provider. It could be that both of them, they're working, but then by the time they get home, everyone is stressed. Somebody's still trying to learn about neurodiversity. It just cuts across in many ways. Why? Because it's neurodivergence. We're trying to figure out what's going on with the kids. We're trying to include that into a marriage that is already stressed out. And so we have all these things going on. But what our emphasis we would like to lay emphasis on today is how then, what then can we then do? What are the tips? What are the things we can do to enjoy our marriage while raising a neurodivergent kid? And then number one is be patient and kind. When you get the diagnosis, when it's all said and done, everyone's like come to realize like, hey, this kid is neurodivergent. These kids are neurodivergent if you have more than one. people are going to process the information differently. Somebody came to our show the other day and she talked about as soon as she, they diagnosed the kid, she was like, let's go, what next? And that's how some people will be. But some people, on the other hand, when the diagnosis come, they are absolutely going to reject it. They are going to deny it for so long. People are going to process the diagnosis differently. And this is where the test will come. This is where the issue usually come because people may not, they may not come to a consensus at the same time. Mom sometimes is like, oh, we need to get on early intervention. Time is money, time is life. Let's just put the kids, let's get the kid ACI, let's get the kid speech therapy. But that's like, no, don't worry, I don't want to label my son, don't do this, don't, And so we're going to encourage, like, let's be patient. People will get there. It may take them a minute to, and people will get there differently. And so we want to encourage you to just be mindful of your partner in the search of what's best for your kid, which is what everybody should absolutely do. Also, give grace to your partner and let them be able to get there, get to where you are. Give them some time, help them, teach them with things they understand, videos, talking. Just give them grace, give them time to adjust to the news, give them time to process it, and then come together and begin to make these decisions. Babe, would you like to add to that?
Yes. So again, everything is just the fact is it's not easy. Depending on what your diagnoses are, it's not that easy. But again, at the end of the day, there's the God factor in it, which is key. So, and that helped us a lot in our marriage concerning our kids because at that point in time, you know, everything goes out of the window in terms of, that physical thing, that connection. But that God factor, which is the foundation, now kicks in.
Amen.
Where again, because of that God factor, then you go into the mode of love is patient and kind, does not envy or boast, is not arrogant or rude, does not insist on his own ways, is not irritable or resentful,
Does not curse.
loves all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, and love never ends.
Love
These
never.
are things that we still do it. Every night before we go to bed, we read that passage of the scripture, and that got us through a lot of things
He did.
where again you begin to rediscover, that fire, and from there that transitions into, having to deal with that neurodivergent kid, our neurodivergent kids.
Mhm.
And because it takes a toll on everything financially.
He
I
did.
remember that time we were not eating, and the only thing they were taking was um, the
So
infant milk and Pediasure. And as of that time, Pediasure, and again where we were, financially that time, Pediasure was like $40 for a case and two of them. So within 6 days, $40 is gone. And that time we used to buy all this infamil and everything. That one was like around 39, $40 as well. So within 6 days, $80. So every 6 days we had to spend $80, you know, to be able to provide what they wanted with other things that were so financially that took a toll. But again, that foundation, that God foundation, helped us a lot during
he
our own journey. So,
did.
and that is key. That is key.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, it brings back memories, memories. I mean, things are looking up now. We thank God our kids are doing they're doing better. They're eating better. But I remember those days. Oh my God. If you do not have a neurodivergent kid, you just will never understand. If you have two neurodivergent kids, I say kudos to you. And okay, let's throw open the phone lines before I digress some more. The number to call is 817-935-8734. 817-935-8734. Would like to hear from you if you're raising a neurodivergent kid, if you know somebody who's in a relationship with someone who's neurodivergent, or if you're neurodivergent yourself and you'd like to share some of your experience. Would like to hear from you what your relationship in general has been like. All right, while we're waiting for y'all to call us, we're going to go on to tip number two. And tip number two is settle on the line on the lining issue. underlying issue. We said it earlier. If your marriage is built on shaky grounds, if you already have trust issues going on, if you already have money problems going on, if you already, I'm telling you, if you bring a neurodivergent kid, if you bring that factor into it, it's this is not to say there's like something going on with marriages, or trying to say well, just tell it's the fact, because oh my god, raising a neurodivergent kid. And there's some, and neurodivergence, there are different levels. There's some kids that cannot communicate, some kids are not potty trained, cannot use the restroom by themselves, some kids are what we call like a total care, right? They need to they have like needs, like heavy needs that even one person cannot carry. And so when you have a case where you have all those things going on in your marriage, and then you add that extra burden on it. Oh my God, it will break it will break the leg of that marriage. It will honestly. So if you have other stuff, if you're willing to let your marriage work and you're raising a neurodivergent kid, I'd encourage you to just please settle underlying issues, um, settle it. Try as much as possible to take care of those things first, and then let's deal with raising a neurodivergent kid, babe.
Yeah. So again, neurodivergent, having neurodivergent kids will test the marriage. Period. Is something that you can't run away from. So if you and your spouse, if you're having issues already, and neurodivergent kids or children now comes into that, that's just a recipe for disaster. Is a recipe for disaster. I can't say more than that.
Absolutely. Well said. Number to call again is 817-935-8734. 817, let me leave it on the screen real quick. 817-935-8734. I'll take that again. It's 817-935-8734. Or you could just leave us a comment. Let us know what you feel about the subject matter. If you're raising a neurodivergent kid, or you've seen people, what they're going through, if you're raising a kid in general, and what your experience has been, would like to hear from you. Now, let's go on real quick to tip number 3, and that is be willing to seek help. Oh, you have to be willing to seek help. I know Africans, we're so proud, and I can say it because I'm African. We are so proud. We just want to have this perfect life, or we just want everyone to feel like everything is all perfect and all. And seeking help is like a problem. Africans, many blacks don't believe in therapy. They don't believe in stuff like that. I want to encourage you. You're going to need to seek help if you're going through, even if you're not even going through any problem, if you're raising kids that are neurodivergent, you need to seek help. And like this message says, let me put it here because I think this speaks to what we're talking about. If you're going to be seeking help, please make sure that you are seeking help from those. Let me put this. It says you will get an outpouring of advice, whether you like it or not. We are focused on what works for our family. Silence every other noise and really let God speak to your heart. I like that. What it's saying is that you're going to get an outpouring of advice, but make sure that it's the one that is working for you. So, in essence, if you're seeking help, make sure that it's from the right people and the right source. Because if you go meet somebody who does not have, if you just go talk to your friend that doesn't have a neurodivergent kid, what kind of advice, what kind of thing do you think you're going to say? They're just going to tell you you're crazy, or what, they just, because they're not living it, they don't know it, they're not, like, it's not a problem of theirs, it's not their situation. So be willing to seek help, but make sure that you are seeking help from the right people. Make sure that you're seeking help. If you're going to a therapy, make sure it's a neurodiversity affirming therapist you're going to meet. Okay, not just any therapy that does not believe in neurodiversity, or does not believe in this, or knows nothing about it. So please be willing to seek help, but while doing so, make sure that you are seeking help in the right place. And then we're going to quickly go to tip number 5. Babe, I think this is where you shine the most. Share responsibilities, and I'm going to give you kudos for this. My husband is I think, for us, let me quickly say this. Our relationship, thank God, has not Like, it's not been perfect, no. My husband and I, we have our own things going on, and of course, there's no marriage that is perfect. But by God's grace, God has helped us. God has helped us. And one of the ways God's helped us is by my husband just being a wonderful, wonderful partner. Like, my husband takes up responsibilities that may not be like, male, the typical male roles, and it doesn't bog, it does it freely. My husband does the laundry for the kids, it feeds them, it takes them, like, it's just and I think that has actually helped me not to be resentful of him, also help me to love him, love the kids more, and probably him also in return. He is there. My husband called him. IEP meetings is there for the kids. He's doing everything he can. He is very hands-on. You should see him in the park, the way he's always guarding the kids. I'm like, they're egg, they won't break. Just leave them alone. He's such a wonderful, wonderful partner. And I feel like that goes a long way in this raising neurodivergent kids. It does. And I said, according to each other's talent. One thing my husband doesn't like is reading, studying, assignments and stuff. He doesn't do that because, he also is somewhat dyslexic. And so that thing is not his own talent. So what we have then done in our home that works for us is I have taken up the responsibility of teaching the kids because that's where I shine. I teach the kids. He's taking on the responsibility of, many of the home chores and everything because he likes doing that. That's where he shines. And that has been very, very helpful. And when it comes to different things, we're learning together. We always attend the school meetings together. Come what may, we are there together. When it comes to the kids' important things, we're learning together. Like, okay, what's what next? We're always doing it together. And I think that has been helpful in our journey, babe.
Yeah, it's just division of labor at the end of the day. And again, everything sounds good
Babe, oh,
now, but the
we
niche.
have a caller. Can we quickly take this?
Okay.
This is the okay. This is the Neurodivergent Show. Hi, welcome to the Neurodivergent Show. Would you like to remain anonymous, or would you like to tell us who you are and where you're calling from?
Hi, from here. I would like to remain anonymous. And first, I just want to say that you guys are doing an amazing job. Emo, you are so, so inspiring. Thank you for doing this. And I love how supportive the husband is on this journey, with the kids and all of that. It's really so I mean there's so lessons to pick up from you guys and what has worked for you guys and all of that. I just want to like briefly share on um an experience that I have on this. I mean, your show was what actually made me to realize that my, a very close family member of mine, one of my siblings is actually neurodivergent, and and then I didn't even know, I couldn't give a word to it until you came up with this show, and you told me about it, before you even started this show, and then you explained all of that to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is actually what this is. How this sibling of mine is so restless, cannot just stay still, but can go out of his way, to help people, and will just do all sort of things to inconvenience himself, at the expense of, now that he's now married, and at the expense of his family. He would, I mean, just in point is, recently he had, I mean, his wife is pregnant, and then he had someone, an external person, come into their home to stay with them in a one bedroom apartment. And I'm like, who does that? He just doesn't know how to say he just doesn't know how to say no. And I'm like, no, you can't, I've been, trying to even tell him, because he doesn't even know that he's neurodivergent. He's neurodivergent till now. I actually had to, like, hint his wife about this and say, hey, I think this is what is going on with this guy. This is what is going on with him. Check out this show by Imole, and then she'll be like, are you sure? And I know that, just like you've also said that when people uh, get this information about a
Mhm.
typical case of what might be happening to them, they might be in denial, and I think that is what's probably happening now. But the truth is, this has given me the grace to now like understand him better. I'm able to like respond to him with leniency. Like you mentioned tonight, extending grace. To him when he does some things, I'm just like, you know what, let me just leave this guy. And I'm again, I'm going to forward this particular edition to him again, and to the wife also. And I just want to say thank you to you guys one more time. Thank you,
So
thank you, thank you so much.
much.
Don't stop doing this. It is so educative.
Thank
Thank you.
We appreciate you
Thank you
for
so much.
you, Anonymous. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. Did that call, but we have to run through a few things right now, so that we can get through everything we have. We said be open and honest with each other. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to share. You have to be honest. You have to open your heart. You cannot be proud in this situation. You cannot be trying to be a super mom or a super dad or a superhero. Break down and let your partner know what's going on. Cry together. You know, go through it together, because what you don't understand is what you're going through is the same thing your partner is going through. But if you guys have, you're too proud, you don't want to share that feeling, you're just robbing each other of what can be a very beautiful thing. And the last thing which we would like to own on is to pray. Pray. Spend more time together, like going on date nights, game nights. Just do certain things you used to do before the kids came in.
And
Spend
and to speak
and
to
pray,
that,
pray.
and to speak to that, I just want to say thank you to our pastor, the pastor of our church that we're currently going to right now, because he introduced us to cruising.
Mm,
Cruising. He
yeah,
introduced us to cruising, and one of the things that we took upon ourselves is we had to go to cruises at least 3-4 times a year. And the reason being that is not just for the luxury of it. It's not because you have a lot of money to do that. But again, for that union, that reunion,
yeah,
helping us as a couple, the marriage, the kids, the bonding, where we get to go to that cruise, and in that cruise, you're probably in one room, you get to talk, you can't run away.
you can, you can, you can hide.
You can hide,
You can.
and you're
Many times we'll do a joining room, and sometimes we'll just do one room just for the bonding, just for being together. And of course, they would frustrate us because they do, and because they are kids, and because they're so wonderful, and we love spending time with them. But it's good. Whenever we come back, we find ourselves so refreshed. The kids are so happy, they're excited. We're sharing things, they're talking to us because it's what they like doing. And one way to encourage the kids that are not talking is to do what they like, is to engage them in what they like doing. Then they're able to have a conversation about that, because it's what they enjoy doing and all. And so we want to appreciate our pastor. That's actually a good one. I never thought about cruising like that. I just know we always do it, especially many times when by God's grace we can. And sometimes it's just once a year, sometimes it's 2-3 times a year, just depending on the year and how things are going and all. So we appreciate our pastor for showing us that light, shedding that light. And so spend more time together. Most importantly, pray. People, please pray, 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 pray. I'm a woman of faith. I am not going to, you know, sugarcoat. I know there's certain things we can do, but I believe that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And I believe that anything that is broken, only God can fix. And even the thing that is not broken, God can just keep keeping. And so I'm going to encourage you, whatever stage your marriage is right now, please pray. Pray about it. Keep praying. Jesus is listening to you. If you're a woman, oh, pray for your husband. Pray. Just pray for him, whatever he's going through right now in his heart. If your husband is not home, if he's out there, if you're still trying to figure it out, pray for him. Pray that God will bring his heart back to you. If you're a wife and, in this whole neurodivergent journey, you feel like you have lost your husband, pray for him. Pray for your wife if you're a husband. Keep praying for her. Pray for your child, pray for your family, and by God's grace, God will settle all that concerns you. Listen, the reason we are doing this show is my husband was like, "Oh, let's not advise people." I'm like, "This is not an advice. We're not advising people. We're just letting them know that by God's grace, in God has helped us in a certain way. Not with a perfect marriage, but God is helping us every day. And these are the kind of things that through which God has helped us with. And I'm hoping that just because you're raising a neurodivergent kid does not mean your marriage has to be, a horrendous atmosphere. It can be good, it can be beautiful. Many times, by God's grace in our home, it's actually beautiful. It's fun. We're raising neurodivergent kids, and God has given us peace and joy about it. And we're hoping that your home can also experience the same or even better, and it can happen. And I hope and I'm trusting that by God's grace, this will be your testimony in Jesus' name.
Man.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody. I mean, everybody that has in some way been a part of the show. Hey, before you close, just hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and let's keep the conversation going even after the show. Please go ahead, just hit the button. It's going to take you 1 second to do that. Subscribe also another 1 second. It will help our show, it will help us grow. Thank you, everyone that has in some way been a part of this show. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for texting. Thank you so much, Anonymous, for calling. We appreciate every one of you. And we say and we pray that you have a good night. Babe, do you have, I didn't ask if you have the last word, if you have a last word for us.
No, thank you all. And as I said, we pray for every family going through any difficult time right now.
Amen.
Um, the Lord will heal the family.
Amen.
Will heal every cracks. Will mend every broken edges.
Amen.
And yeah, have a wonderful evening. We love you all, man. Love
See
you.
you same time, 7 p.m. Friday next week, where we get to share another wonderful topic discussing neurodivergence and all. Bye, guys. Bye, everybody. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Bye bye.